Hey everybody. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. This video is kind of long, but there's a lot going on with this particular chunk of wood, so I wanted to try to add as much as I possibly could and hopefully be able to answer questions along the way. So I appreciate you sticking with me and seeing what the end result is. So this is Sycamore. I have a ton of Sycamore in my yard right now, and I'm slowly but surely cutting pieces up and getting them in blanks. This one is green. I didn't seal it or anything because I was leaving it to motivate me to turn it before it cracked. So as you can see, I kind of mounted it. I mounted it on faceplate, but I mounted it a little far over to one side. I wasn't sure how that, you can almost tell how it's going to cut, but I wasn't sure what shape or anything I was going for, so I just kind of centered it. Well, one side of it was, way higher than the other, so you'll see me rounding this out, and then I will take it off and remount it back on the faceplate again in a different position. And that's because as I started getting into it and kind of deciding on what shape I wanted to go for, I realized I would have to cut so much more wood away than what I would like. So I remounted it for the purpose of, saving as much wood to get the girth of my project. Now, when I first start out, I normally don't have a particular plan, I guess, as far as what I'm going to make. I just think to myself, well, the worst thing that turns out is I'll be getting more practice making bowls and getting those shapes down. So I'd start out with the idea of making a bowl, and then I just kind of utilize, I guess, the wood grain and the size it ends up being as an inspiration to wherever I'm going to go with it. So at this point in this particular project, I really don't know what shape I'm going to go for. So, and that's a lot of my projects. I don't know exactly what shape or design I'm going to go for. I just get all the rough edges off of it, stop it, look at it, and then kind of, I guess, decide on the go. As you can see right here, I'm kind of like looking it over, examine it. I'm going to remount it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to move over the faceplate to where I can get more out of this particular side. Right here I'm trying to see if I can utilize that uneven wood at the very top. And what I'm doing is kind of forming a neck, or I guess a rim. Before I cut it completely away, I kind of want to see if I can use the wood that's there. So about this time, I really am undecided, or I'm just now deciding, I should say, what exactly I want to make with this piece. So I cut that neck and I was like, oh yeah, that'll work. So I got some wood there. I got enough wood to work with to design a, to make it more of a hollow form versus a bowl. And again, worst comes to worst, if it doesn't work out, or I find that design, I don't like it, I'll just turn it into a bowl. I figured no time is really wasted, and even if it ends up in the burn barrel in the end, it really isn't wasted, because it was, one, free wood, and for another, it's helping me develop my skill in cutting, learning the directions of the wood grain, and how to cut according to that, and just pushing the limits of wet wood and the shapes that you can achieve with it, drying it with the heat gun. I do that with this piece as well. So no time on the lathe is wasted. It's all experience. You can't purchase that experience. You can't purchase that knowledge. It's something that you just have to do and feel. So I encourage you to not let projects, I should say it like this: allow yourself some grace in your failures, because there's plenty of those. Anyways, here you see me sharpening my Forstner bit. Sorry, with I got these diamond plate things at Harbor Freight. I think are like $8. You just find the two edges that are the sharp edges, and you just run it along there. I learned that from Captain Eddie's videos. So if you want to learn a little more about that, on how to sharpen Forstner bits, you can look up Captain Eddie's and search how to sharpen Forstner bits. He's amazing, and has so much information, and we're also very blessed to have Captain Eddie share his plethora of information for all of us. Make sure when you're hollowing out wet wood, you don't take too much of the center out at once, and spray it with water periodically. It'll help keep it from warping too badly, so you can actually get, especially these areas here where there's a lot to hollow in this first bit. So keep a spray bottle on hand with water and wet it down while you hollow it, and don't take too much out, because it'll warp on you a lot faster. So just keep that in mind. Again, on this piece, I used my heat gun. It's just a Harbor Freight heat gun. Has a high and low setting on it. and it did warp. And they normally do, even if you microwave pieces, sometimes they're just gonna warp. I guess it all depends on the thickness of how you turned it, is how it's gonna crack or warp. This piece, it developed cracks as I was drying it with a heat gun, and then also overnight it developed a crack too. But I just filled it with the dust from sanding it with some CA glue and moved on. It wasn't that big of a deal. Even the warping isn't too bad. I haven't taken the foot off of it yet either, so I can always straighten up on how it's gonna sit, once that warping is, done. At least I guess at the most extreme it's going to. I sanded it down to about 400 grit. I knew I kind of wanted to do some burning on this piece. I wasn't sure what. So I was thinking about it when I turned it. So that day I went out and got a wood burner from Hobby Lobby, and it has these interchangeable tips that you can put on and off, while you're burning, which was really nice. You don't have to wait for it to cool down and all that stuff. You can just pop it out, put on a different tip, and there you go. This is the first time me burning wood to this extent, and what I mean by that is I've never burnt anything that required shading. It was usually just like letters, outline, or I burnt a palm tree on a sign before, and that was it. So and that was with those regular, like, I guess beginner burners, I don't know. So this is my first time. I practiced on a bowl prior to this just to kind of get used to the tip. It was just a bowl I had laying around, and I didn't mind if it got messed up because it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. So I would say practice on wood first, and touch the bottom of it because there's different heat temperatures. So touch the bottom of your bowl and see which temperature some woods are going to burn a little easier than others. I'm not really the best person to ask for advice on burning because, like I said, it's my first time. So if you're interested in doing designs and stuff, I would say probably find somebody on YouTube who's way better than I am. I will tell you this: make sure you are in a comfortable chair. Make sure you have like a plate or something that can have hot stuff sat on it. Probably be good to wear a mask. This wasn't smoking too much, and I didn't smell anything off of it, so I didn't think of no finish on the bowl. You don't want to burn anything that has a finish because that would really be bad for your lungs. Make sure you're in a comfortable chair, plenty of pillows under your tush, and some towels or whatever underneath your project and for your arms, so you can get a good stable setting, because it's like drawing on something that's wanting to move. I didn't draw this octopus. This is a traced from an image I got on Pinterest, and being I couldn't find who the original artist was because it was like a pen of a pen of a pen and of a screenshot actually, I won't be able to give that person credit, so therefore I'm not going to sell this particular piece. I just don't feel right, being it is my burning, but it's someone else's art, and so I just feel there's probably some sort of copyright stuff going on there, and I really don't want to do that to the person who originally drew it. And I'm pretty sure they probably would be like, cool, my octopus I drew, someone used it and put it, but I'm not going to make money off of somebody else's artwork. I clearly couldn't draw something that awesome, so I'm sorry for any of you who may have been interested in purchasing it. I won't be able to sell it. I couldn't find the original artist, so I can't do that without their permission or finding out if there's any kind of copyright issue there. And anyone who does burn and maybe uses images they find online, comment below if you know how that works. I would like to give the original artist of the picture, credit where credit is due, obviously, because I'm kind of just copying it. So if any of y'all know how that works, please comment below. I really appreciate that. The burning process took about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours maybe. So it wasn't too bad, but just make sure you're comfortable. I'm filling another crack that developed from sitting overnight and just drying out on the counter with a little bit of gold eyeshadow and some CA glue. It wasn't a huge crack at all. It was very fine, but obviously visible. And sanding it all down, I sanded it back again with, I think, 400 grit, maybe even 320, I'm not sure, because of my paw prints all over it and the transfer paper, and then the very bottom needed some of those corners sanded out. After it dries, the grain kind of raises, and moves a little bit. So, especially in the very bottom where the tenon is still attached. So there's a lot of moisture still in that bottom part particularly, and I think that's another reason why it cracked overnight, because I left, a big, huge chunk compared to how thin the walls are on it of wet wood at the very bottom. So here I'm using water-based polyurethane. I'm brushing it on, and I really didn't want to do a glossy finish on this piece, and plus I knew that it was going to be warped, so trying to get a shine with OB Shine Juice and getting that consistent heat that you need, because it's a friction polish, probably wasn't going to work out too well being it was so wobbly. So I tried using the water-based polyurethane, but it coats really good, but you have to sand it back so much. And so after the first coat, I realized, oh, this was a bad idea. It's usually how things work for me. It's not till after it's done. So I put 2 coats on, and here I'm just putting my abrasive paste to knock back the polyurethane. I sanded after the first coat, and then this time I was like, oh my gosh, I am not going through all again. Plus I was afraid to sand off my image that I just burnt. So I'm just using the abrasive paste right now to kind of like knock back those high points, like ridges, I guess, that the polyurethane kind of caused. It dries pretty quickly, so in other words, it pretty much was just used as a sanding sealer. And here I'm just trying to get some of the high point ridges that the polyurethane caused off of it. I end up doing that, causing myself more work, but you live and learn, right? Turn and learn. And just for a final coat, because polyurethane just soaked up really good in there and sealed it really well, I'm just using the Howard's it's feed and wax to give it a nice not too shiny, it's like a satin, I guess, finish on it. So I liked that a lot better. So now I'm turning it around and taking the bottom of it off. The video didn't catch, it turned off, battery probably went dead and didn't notice it of me sanding. So I just sanded the bottom with my drill sander with my 2-inch discs all the way up to, I think I went to 600 on the bottom of the bowl. I burnt my logo in with my brander, and then I put a sanding sealer on the bottom, which is my 50/50 lacquer and lacquer thinner, and then just put Howard's Weed and Feed on the very bottom. So that's how I ended up finishing it. But there it is, and you can tell by the lip of it, it is very warped, but it's fine. I think it adds character to the piece, especially being that there's an awesome octopus on there. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. Sorry about the length, but again, there's a lot to it, so I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate you watching. Have a blessed day, and take care.